So this evening, I want you to get ready to go on a trip. Now, this trip does not require any tickets. There's no line. And as a matter of fact, it doesn't even cost you anything. It's free. And you don't even need to leave the room. But we really want you to go traveling today. We want you to go on a trip that is going to take you into another realm, especially if you're in a stuck place. Anybody here in a stuck place? Okay, good. Okay. So you've been traveling for some time now, and as you've been traveling, you've been collecting things, literally and figuratively, emotionally and spiritually. And as you travel, these things hang around and they stay with you. And some of them are worth keeping, and some of them aren't. So that's the theme for tonight, is to repack your bags. Now, you can participate passively and just watch other people, or you can fully engage and actively participate. It's up to you to decide, but I will tell you that the more you do in this session, the more you'll leave with. So I encourage you not to be too passive, because then you don't get as much enthusiasm and you don't get to experience the whole trip. And if you decide not to participate at all, I would like to let every single one of you know in this room that I'm a resource that's available to you. Ask Bob Korzeniewski. He sends people to me all the time. I can help you over the phone, might be able to help you connect. I would encourage you to have paper and pen available so that you can take some notes. There will be some writing exercises. So let's begin with while you were growing up. While you were growing up, you had a few things that were set in place. Your parents set in place, the people who basically brought you here to earth. Your height, can't really do a whole lot about that. Your bone structure, it is what it is. You know, no matter how many pounds we lose or gain, the bone structure stays the same. Our hair color, pretty much the same, but, you know, we could change that a little bit. But our hair texture and things like that, we can't really change it. Our eye color, these are things that we cannot change, and that these are just the way that they are and the way that God intended them to be. So don't mess with them. But there's another category that while we were growing up, we were given certain toys to play with. Favorite toys. Remember your favorite toys? Some of them were good, some of them weren't so good. We were given our GPA, and that was a big deal. Do you remember in high school or in college, the GPA? It was a defining characteristic of who you are and how great you were or were not going to be. So they label us with the GPA. And then we have some bosses, some of which we didn't really care to remember, because they made you feel so dumb and stupid, regardless of your GPA, just because of the way they treated you. So guess what? All of that is still in your bag. This is all a part of who you are. And some of it works, and some of it doesn't. Those bosses, by the way, those ones that treated you poorly, that was the number one motivator for me to become an executive coach. Because I saw so many brilliant people totally become demoralized by the way they were spoken to by the person they reported to. And I said, somebody's got to do something about these guys at the top. And that's why I became a coach. That's just a little sidebar. So while we were growing up, the title of our last job defined who we were and how valuable we are to the marketplace. The experts, the books that we read, the stuff that we put into our minds. Think and Grow Rich, great book. Art of War, wondering about that one. Spouses, significant others, family members, all of these are people that have influenced our view of the world and of ourselves. compound that with the movies that we get to go see, and the movie stars that get all their notoriety for the foods that they eat or the clothes that they wear, you name it, the news that we read about the economy, and even the clothes that we buy, and for goodness sakes, the darn size label. I mean, is that messed up or what? I mean, Chico's, size 0? Who's a size 0? I must not exist if I wear a size 0. Anyway, the women might know what that means. But even the name on the label, or whether or not you buy labeled brand clothes, influences who you are, how you are, who your friends are. This all has impact on your self-esteem. So we put this all together, and all of this influences your story. This all influences your belief about yourself as you sit in this room tonight. You're surrounded by a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff in your past that no longer needs to be there, and that's why it's called baggage. Because it weighs you down, and it's time to repack because you're on a new journey. And as long as you're carrying all that baggage with you, it's just going to take you that much longer to get there. So you have a choice. You do have a choice in what you decide to keep and what you decide to get rid of. And I hope that some of you will do the work tonight. It won't take you very long, and it will be very freeing if you can get right down to it. I have recently, at the International Coach Federation Conference, which just happened in June, I'm president-elect of ICF Metro DC chapter, so I was highly involved in the conference. And one of our featured speaker was Brene Brown. And Brene Brown's book, Daring Greatly, who some of you may know, was a powerful, powerful message about shame. She studies shame and vulnerability. And no one wants to talk about it because this is a very, very delicate subject. She talks eloquently about shame and fear and how our history bobbles our mind. It is a worthwhile read, but in particular, I wanted to credit her with a powerful point of view. And she says, if you want to get results, you must get uncomfortable. You must get very uncomfortable because what you've been doing may not be working for you anymore. And from going to this old way of doing things to this new way of doing things, first of all, you have to pass through your fear and your shame and get out there again and get going again in a positive direction. So if you have time to read, I highly encourage you. She's got a great website. But here's what we're talking about tonight is what is the story that you tell people versus the story you want to tell people. So here's something I know, is that there are some people that are very, very comfortable talking about how bad things are, how long they've been out of a job, how they've lost their house, how they've gone to interview after interview, the heartbreaking stories. And I'm not saying that they're inappropriate. I'm just saying that they get comfortable in their sadness. They get comfortable in their crisis. And it's so comfortable to stay in crisis sometimes because no one expects you to do anything when you're in that deep of a crisis. So going back to this thing about shame is that if you if you realize that maybe you're holding yourself back with your own story, collected by all these previous things, you might find that you can release yourself from the prison that you're in. And you can go on a brand new journey with lots of courage, motivation, support, enthusiasm, energy, and experience something you've never yet experienced. And it is possible. So, we're talking about comfort like pajamas are comfortable. You know, you put them on and you just feel so comfortable telling that story, even though it may be a sad story. It might be a happy story. It could be a victory lap, but that will be the new story when you come up for the victory lap. So let's take a look at what's in your bag. What is in your luggage? Here's a couple of things that I've seen in working with people who are in traveling, is that they get hooked on what I've been trained to do. What's my education? What's my background? Okay, there's a train that only has one track. Okay, I've been trained to be project manager, and so I should probably be project manager. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that there might be a way you can use it in a new way, other than going back into the job that you just had that gave you that certification. The title of my last job, I know when I quit my job, by the way, the reason I quit was because of the boss. My title was Vice President of Internal Communications. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just go after another job that has that title. So I go, let's see what's out there. And of course, nothing came up because nobody has that title anymore. And so I thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. There's nothing out there for me. And so I began to change the terms and the words and begin to say, okay, maybe it's not about the title. Maybe it's about the responsibility. And so I started seeing what was available differently. Here's a trigger. What have I done that I got paid the most? Now, granted, we live in one of the most expensive places in the United States. So we do have financial requirements, and I'm not suggesting that we don't. But there's possibility in the income category. Instead of just having one source of income, you might decide to have two in order to make up for what the old job paid, especially for those of us in the room that are over 50. We are in our highest earning years when you are over 50. Try and replace that income when, as Steve said, suddenly I found myself in the job market. I hadn't been networked. I didn't know where to begin. I mean, it can be a real shock to your system, and it can also be a limiting belief as to what is possible. So what I'd like you to do is just to take a moment right now and ask yourself, what are some of the beliefs that I'm hanging on to about myself and my next opportunity or my next job? What are some of the beliefs that you're hanging on to that are part of your history in who you are and who you've become to date? Because guess what? I mean, to date. Just right to today, to this very moment in time. It could be based on your education. It could be based on how you got your job, where your job was, how many hours do you need to work? What are some of the beliefs that you currently have in your luggage? And for the extroverts in the room, if you would like to turn to your neighbor and ask them what their story is, then that might get your thinking going. So go ahead if you want to chat with your neighbor and say, hey, what are some of your beliefs? Help me get this going. Okay, so let's come back. Let's come back to the front of the room. And I'd like to see if there's anyone that would like to share some facts about your story. What's in your baggage? What's in your luggage? Anybody want to share? Now. There we go. Please do. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sharda Singhati. So I'm in a transition period of my career, and I'm looking for IT-related jobs. I'm a software tester. And my bag is, I don't know, I'm a little bit confused here. Like, I want a very good company with a good salary and good benefits and a very good harmonious working environment that I have. Do you think that is a bad package or something? Because if I have some humiliation, like, okay, you are not qualified for that, you are not clear person. If someone said those things, I think that are my old package that I want to throw it out. I don't want to hear anymore because I'm not that. So I don't know if I want the same kind of job and good salary. What is this? It's old package, bad package, or I don't know. I'm not clear. I just try to understand that. What is it?
Okay. So
Yeah.
I think the way I'm hearing you is that I've decided I want a company that is kind of like the company I came from. Good benefits, nice working conditions, such and such, and such and such. Very specific. So there is definitely some value in narrowing your possibilities when it comes to what you're looking for, as long as it doesn't eliminate things that don't fit that description that may also be true for you. So she's saying, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this. And yes, that is good. But if with that comes, because that's what I'm used to and that's all I know, then that can sort of tilt your view of the world, because I don't know what the company was, but it will limit you as to what's possible. So, for example, I have a client that was in the job search market, and she said, well, I'm not going to work downtown. I live way out beyond, Loudoun County. I'm not going to work downtown. The commute is way too far, and it would just wear me out. Well, guess what? She's working downtown. Because she put that filter on, and so then she was missing that opportunity because she said, I'm not what I'm not going to do. And then she opened that region a little bit further, and inflows a job of which she is just rocking at. And she loves it. And the commute is long, and it's worth every mile. So I hope that answered your question. Okay? She could move. I don't think her husband would agree, but so, okay, she's a realtor. So some of the other, what's in your bag? Anybody else? Yes, back there. Use the mic, please.
Age discrimination. The reality I can't ignore.
Yep.
And the fact that if I'm going to get a contract position for anything, it's always going to be with the intent by the company to avoid paying benefits, because under a certain number of hours, benefits are not going to happen.
Right.
Those two realities are what I'm having to deal with.
Okay. So let's deal with the age thing, because there's a lot of us in the marketplace that are over 50, although none of us look it. So So anyway, that age thing comes up a lot. Now, here's what happens when you go to apply for a job. You walk in and say, you're third in line for the interview, and you see two other prospects that are waiting for the interview. And you just your intuition is saying, these guys are probably interviewing for the same job, and they're at least 10 years younger than you are. Or 25, okay? 25 years younger than you are. The first thing that goes through your mind is what? They're inexperienced. They're cheaper. What else? What else goes through your mind? They don't have wisdom. What was that? Better technically. Pretty smart, did I hear? Yep, they're smart. Maybe they're smarter than me. They might even have more education than me. Okay, what ends up happening is that you're judging the situation, and you are literally sending out that vibe. You are already in a state of being, I'm going to just skip a few slides here, in a state of, maybe I'm not. Sorry. Of being disempowered. It is a disempowering message that you are subconsciously sending to yourself. I don't stand a chance. And you haven't even opened your mouth yet. So I warn you about this age discrimination thing, because if you're filtering it and it's a negative, you're already at a disadvantage and you haven't even started the interview. Because it comes across. That fear comes out, it oozes out of your body and spreads all over the room. So just imagine what you're thinking is what you are communicating. So I am a communication coach, and what you think comes out. And I'm going to prove it to you. There's a study done called the Pygmalion effect. And the Pygmalion effect was a study of several 100 students or so, and they all took the IQ, and they randomly divided the group into two groups. And they said, one to the teacher A, you have the low IQ kids. And they said to teacher B, you have the high IQ kids. And even though these kids were randomly mixed up, the children performed based on what the teacher thought of the children. Although there were high IQ kids in this teacher's class, they performed lower than average, or lower than their IQ. Over here, you got some low IQ kids who were treated like the high IQ kids, and their IQ, their whole grade point average, that thing that measures us, went up. So what you think influences the people around you. Don't underestimate the power of that piece of knowledge. Yes?
I'm kind of like Steve. I had mostly a political background. And yeah, I'll say it. I worked for Republican National Committee and all that stuff. And I was in the Bush administration for like 7.5 years at EPA. And I wonder about it, because it's like, I want to get back in government. When you go to government and you say, okay, I want to send my resume out, everybody I've talked to who's tried to help me has said, any mention of Bush, scrub it out.
Oh.
And that's kind of hard to do. And then you start thinking, okay, well, is anybody going to hire me, because of this? And I did this for 7.5 years. It's the last thing I did,
Yeah.
So then that kind of sits in the back of your mind, just kind of like that little voice in the back of your head.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome that? How do you deal with that stuff?
Okay. there's a couple of people in the room I know that are interview experts, and I'd invite you to chime in on this if you would, if you felt comfortable doing. Say again? Oh, okay. So the question, if I could rephrase it, was he has a history of working under the Bush administration for 7 years with EPA, and the Republican National Committee, and he's now looking for another job, and he's being advised to take any relationship or any reference, thank you, to Bush out of his conversation or his history. It's very hard to do. So in the back of the room, are you a recruiter? Thank you.
It's always easy to just simply use the word presidential, because not everybody's going to have an immediate affiliation and look up, okay, what years were you there, and then try to remember who was the president at the time, but you could just simply use the word presidential. It has a nice ring to it.
Good? Okay, thank you. And did you have a recommendation as well? Okay, I'm sorry, I'll get back to you.
I'm lucky to be alive, 55 plus scientist, and recently, a couple of years ago, had to move to the DC area, and I've had 7 federal job interviews over 2 years, and I was terribly discouraged about that because I've never had trouble like this getting a job. And through some good similar parallel support, job hiring support like this small group in Alexandria, they've said, no, you don't get it. You're thinking about it wrong. You're doing great.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. That's a reframe. That's what we call a reframe. She repacked her bags around that story. You had a question. If you could use the mic, please. It's coming to you.
Well, I know a lot of people have issues with bitterness, and the shock of getting let go for whatever reason is nagging at them, or they have a bad job right now and they're just bitter about it, and they feel that they can't get out of that.
Yeah.
Because bitterness is a real root, and it can take in and it affects everything.
Absolutely.
The bitterness of your last job. What are some secrets into just letting those go?
Right.
You had a bad job, or the job was great, but you had a bad boss that just drilled it into you that she didn't like you because in my wife's scenario, she had a really bad boss, and I'm kind of getting the answer for her.
Right. Right.
She doesn't feel she has the worth, so she can't go into that interview and project confidence because her boss told her that she wasn't good enough to be in that job every single day. Okay? And she outperformed everybody else, but her boss viewed her in a negative way, so she takes that into herself, internalizes it, and has that, and it's almost like bitterness.
Yeah. So it's an emotional cancer is what I call it. It's an emotional cancer. It is killing you. Literally killing you. And you have a choice to forgive, to forget, and to repack your story. You have that choice. And it may take a lot of work. And a lot of that work is done upstairs in your head. Possibly you get a friend to help you out by helping them to be your weekly accountability partner to keep you on the positive frame of mind. Because when you are in a negative frame of mind, it is just so much harder to move. But when you can move out of that negative into a positive, it changes the world around you. I'm going to read something that was posted. I actually think Mal maybe pulled this up on the LinkedIn. The number one darkest fear of every job seeker. It doesn't matter if you're unemployed, underemployed, or even employed. Whatever your status, if you're looking for a job, deep down in the darkest part of your mind, there is a fear that is taunting you. The little voice that says, "This is my fault." And that's what she's suffering from. This is my fault. Worse still, as your job search lags on, you become even more fearful that you lack the knowledge and the ability to find work. Meaning you could be, get this, fighting a battle you never prepared yourself to win. You were never trained for this. We're trained to work. We weren't trained to look for work. We want to be at work because that's where we feel we can make the biggest difference. I think it was, yeah. I believe so. I can make sure that Mal has it and repost it, yeah, if you want to. So the worry is a waste. Going into battle with doubts is not a good thing. You absolutely must forgive yourself and realize all the time and energy spent in lamenting over your situation and who caused it is a waste. It is totally a waste. It disempowers you. And now I'd like to share a verse from the Bible, Philippians 4. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving. Thank you, Jesus, for giving me this opportunity to learn a new way of being. Present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your mind in Jesus Christ. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. The Bible is telling us to think about the good things, not the bad bosses, not the ageism, perceived or real. That does not help us grow. It helps us slow. So when you take your mind off of these things that are holding you back, this luggage, this baggage that is weighing you down, you have an opportunity for a brand new thought to come in, brand new thinking to come into your world. So I'd like to have a volunteer who would like to have some brand new thinking. So we're going to do a little work here. Tell me your name.
Alana.
Valana. You want to hold that, Valana?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Freddi. Nice
Hi,
to meet
Fred.
you. So Valana, we're going to do a little work. And with your courage and your faith, see if we can't help you come to a new way of thinking. Would that be all right with you?
Absolutely.
Okay. So tell me in a minute or less where you currently are and what's going on.
I'm a scientist with expertise in environmental health, pharmaceuticals, and I've patched together my own consulting firm. It's very little, very modest, and I make pharmaceuticals at night. I do drugs at night with a license 3 times a week. And I tutor science, mathematics, physics, and I do it for some of the embassy people. And I do FDA, Food Drug Administration compliance for industrial clients. And I never quite know where my next month's rent is going to come from, but I'm turning most of that over to God because I was getting so paralyzed by the fear. And with the kind of support that Freddi is right on the money talking about. I feel very blessed that I've emerged out of kind of a bad depression earlier in the spring when I interviewed with FDA for yet another good solid position for me and did not get it. And so I've had to retool my brain and my thinking about that, and I'm very much still in process.
So what is it that you want?
What I want is something that's a blend of divine guidance. I've been pursuing the same jobs that I've had before. Where I was comfortable and did well, major geek jobs, but through job coaching, I've been invited to think in a new way. And so I'm trying that.
So where are you stuck?
Well, I just read I'm getting a daily career blog from my home area in New England, and today they said I might be forgetting the year, but by 2020, most of us will be in contract jobs with no benefits. So get real and start it now.
Okay.
And that was my wake-up call today. So I'm thinking toward continuing perhaps a parallel track of ramping up my branding and marketing for my little modest consulting business and still applying for federal scientist jobs. I was previously a state level FDA type scientist and a consultant on the side. So a parallel track is an important shift for me, because I just figured, oh, I'm so wonderful, FDA will hire me right away, but it's very, very hard to get in, and I have pretty good credentials.
Okay, I just want to take a little sidebar, hold that thought for a minute. Notice how she phrased her little modest company. Okay, that is a disempowering message. So I don't mean to pick on you. I just want you to become aware. She has a company and she creates drugs. I mean, seriously.
No. I think I've overstated it. It's me and my kitty cats working at home.
It doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 101. You're doing something that I bet you nobody else in this room is doing.
Oops.
Which is really cool. No matter the size. I'm a company of 1. Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay.
I get to dedicate all my time to my clients. I don't have to manage any people. It's great. Yes, so, little mind shift there.
Okay.
What's the name of your company?
I am Science Consultants and Tutors of Alexandria.
Science Consultants. What just happened there? What just happened there? She just laughed really high.
I'm having fun. The only good thing I can say about going through both a divorce and job loss over the same 2 years, and my mom died. So I want to be real about real life clinical depression, and I've gotten appropriate medical support for it, and I'm coming out, and I feel like a phoenix coming out of the ashes.
Absolutely. She's even dressed like it. Woohoo! Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Okay. So a little tiny shift, a single word in this case, can make a big difference for her little modest company to become a major source of revenue for her when she changes her mind and repacks her bag and repacks her history. So is there anybody else that would like to have a little reframing? Yes, please. Come on up. Jay, good to see you. Everybody meet Jay.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you again, Freddie.
Good to see you too. Hold the mic up to your mouth.
All right. Am I getting good sound?
Yep.
I think so. Okay. Currently, recently I had to take one position that's not paying. It's structured such that it doesn't look like it's going to. It's a drain. It's, well, not a good situation, and I'm looking to figure out how to use outside limited waking hours in the most effective way to segue into something more suitable and go from there.
How many hours do you have available?
Oh, at most, let's see, a couple hours in the evening, at most.
At most, a couple hours in the evening. So that means that Monday through Friday, you're pretty much consumed with this other
Yes,
inferior job.
yes.
Is there anything good about the inferior job?
Not nearly enough of one.
Okay. But you get one. Tell me what's good about the job.
Well, technically it's a job. but
Technically, it's a job. And you are getting paid.
Minimally.
Okay, but you are getting paid. What were you getting paid before you had the job?
More.
More.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about previous jobs.
No. Before you had this job, how much were you getting paid?
Well.
Not the job that you had before. Right before you had this job, weren't you unemployed?
Yes, unemployment was rather limited.
Okay.
But still, I wasn't bogged down with a limitation on search as I am now.
Okay. So your challenge is, how do I find more time to go get another job? My question to you is, what could you do with the existing job to make it a better job?
I guess just, as I've been trying to do, continue telling myself I'm doing the best I can with everything.
Who else could you tell?
I don't know. Well, the company owner and my boss have been pleased with how I've been keeping at it, and other superior employees have told me the same thing.
Okay. And have you asked for anything?
Asked for anything?
Since you're doing such a good job, have you asked them for anything?
Well, let's see. There was offered it's a small base pay, and it's offered kind of a draw against future commissions. I did get that. I didn't ask for it, but it looks like that's going to be a small improvement, but it's not going to be enough.
Wow. Well, there's already improvement in place here.
But I've just got to get away.
Got to get away.
Yes.
Okay. Before you go away.
Yeah, but I got to have something to get into before I go away.
Well, wait a second. Before you go away, why don't you try to maximize what you're already in?
I'm doing everything possible to do that.
I'm not sure about that. Have you asked for a raise?
No.
I'll take that as a no. He did say no, finally. Okay, so before you, sorry, let me do a little sidebar here. I worked for a guy once, and somebody had quit on him, and he said, I am so bummed I didn't get a chance to work with this guy. He left without even telling me that he was unhappy. He left without asking me for a raise. He left without giving me a chance to make it better for him. Imagine that that's what your boss would think if you were to leave.
In this case, I don't think so.
Okay, there's the baggage. That's the baggage we're talking about, because he's already made up his mind. This guy doesn't care. I'm sorry to pick on you, Jay.
No, but
do you get that?
Yeah, but it's just that I don't, rather than an optimist or a pessimist, I'm just a hardcore realist.
I understand. And so a realist would do the very real thing is that before you decide to leave, do everything you can to get the right job and more money in the job that you currently have. Because you've got nothing to lose. You want to leave anyway. And what's the worst that he could do is say no. So will you do that for us?
Okay, I'll figure out how best to frame that.
Okay. Will you call me and we'll work it out over the phone? All right?
All right.
Okay. Thanks, Jay.
Speaking about jobs that you wonder why you're in them, I'm interviewing tomorrow for a job as a receptionist at a health club.
Okay, hang on. What? I'm interviewing.
I can't believe it.
Yes.
but
So you can already
I haven't
tell.
even told my husband
Yeah.
because I can just imagine him saying, "You couldn't even get that job."
Oh. Wow. This is.
And that's a very realistic possibility
That's a real.
because
that is
I'm
a
not
very real-
really hip. And I'm old. Anyway, so yeah, I'm fighting the toxicity at home and the sense of desperation that I want to be doing something.
Right.
And so I figured, well, I can work from 6 to midnight, even if it's a low income, I will have time during the day and I can swim. So,
Right. And you're going to be around cool people and so on and so forth. So I'm hearing a lot of things. First of all, I'm not feeling much enthusiasm about this interview. Am I correct about that, or is that just... So what would you tell her right off the bat?
Well, first question, how much are you getting paid now versus how much are you getting paid then? And is something better than nothing?
Sure. Yes. It's a great opportunity to network.
Excellent opportunity to network.
Yes?
possibly.
Get enthusiastic about the job.
I'll have to turn it on tomorrow morning, but we're in our own community here, so I can say what I think.
Yes.
But I know I have to.
Think it right now. You're going to be thinking it tomorrow.
You're gonna
Think the people, the negative influences in your life when you're in that interview, and you don't want to do that.
Thanks. Yes.
Is a good job while you're looking for another one.
Yes, it's a good job while you're looking for another one. Yes.
What is not hip about the way you're dressed? You're wearing like a leopard print or something. You're wearing a leopard print, and that kind of looks pretty hip, in my opinion.
Wait, don't go. So, no, she wants to run away. We're not done with you yet, Najwa. What else? Okay, so we've got, I'm going to interview for a job that I'm way overqualified, and she is way overqualified for the job. I know her. I'm worried already that I'm not going to get the job. As a matter of fact, I'm so worried that I'm not going to get the job, I'm not going to even tell my husband that I'm going to interview for the job. Okay, so what could you tell yourself instead?
Oh, I could tell myself this is the only interview I've been asked to do for quite a while.
And what would be another way to say
But
that?
that's negative too.
Wait, say that in a more positive way. Say that in a more positive way.
I have a negative IV.
So what would be a positive way that you could say
I am
it?
so happy that I actually have a job interview.
Now look at the difference. Look at the difference just in her face. Well, I can see it really well from up here, but she went from being flat to, being animated. And that's the way to go into the interview tomorrow, because that's who they want at that front desk. Woo! Welcome to the club. You ready to sweat a little bit?
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Thanks, Najwa.
So
Yes.
here's an example of what we all need to realize, is you just never know who's in the room. Do you know that I have been in the health club business? I had my own management company for probably about 10, 15 years. I've been in the club business, and how important the reception position is, and how much I could coach you up on what that could be for the organization. And we talk about reception being the, manager of first impressions. I'm trying to think what we used to even say back in the day. There's so many things. I mean, the health club that I work at, guess who happens to walk in the door every day? The director of the CIA. So you never know who's going to walk across that desk that could be a great connection for you. And my business partner, when I left academia, and we were in the health club business because it's such a hospitality-focused thing, I never realized we would go out and have lunch together, and he was always spying on who's the server that I might want to think would come into our company. And he would start to ask questions. Oh, you're such a great server. You know, what are you doing? How do you enjoy your work? He was always fishing to find people that would be the right candidate to come into our company. And I was always impressed by that. It never even dawned on me to go in and start talking to the server at my table going, gee, you've got a great countenance, you've got a great personality, what do you do? How do you? And he would just start getting into drilling with someone, and next thing you know, we might even be having them come in for an interview. So you just never know. So this is back to the whole point of networking. Check what people's backgrounds are, find out what's going on, and my only concern is I don't know if I have time to get up with you before tomorrow morning. But go in and be positive, because there are so many people in reception and health clubs that don't get it because they have lousy management. So you could go in and you could be the star. On that, I'll stop.
Okay. Yes. Welcome, Joy.
Here we go.
I stole the microphone. Here we go.
Joyful by nature.
I am joyful by nature, and I have a hard time getting along with sad people or kind of people who make day miserable. And the sun is shining, you can't do nothing about that. So today I started a job which is way below my qualification. I was smiling. Why? Because, well, after 11 years, I didn't have any paycheck, so now I'm going to have paycheck. See?
Yeah.
So I just look things differently. Because if I'm going to be qualified, then nobody can pay me the money I'm worth. It doesn't exist. So I go whatever it's open for me. That's what I do.
So Joy has already repacked her bag before she got here, because she's looking at the situation in a positive frame, and will probably help the people in that job experience a more joyful life. So now I want to have the conversation turn to your tables. What trip would you like to go on, and what do you need to leave behind in order to get there? What do you need to leave behind before you get there? All right, so does anybody want to share what they're going to leave behind on this next trip? What are you going to leave behind? I'm sure we have somebody. Oh, yes.
I'm going to leave behind two things. One, feeling like I need my mentor right now. And I did mention that, I don't know if you remember one of the Senate chaplains, Dick Halverson. Yeah, he was my mentor. And I miss him terribly. And two, a lot of the anger I feel towards my eldest brother, who was very emotionally abusive, but I understand now he had a problem. He was alcoholic, he had dementia and learning disability.
Yeah.
So those three together.
Wow.
And having to live with him. So I'm going to leave that behind, and the jealousy he had towards me.
Wow.
And so a lot of other stuff. So those are the two main things, I think.
Okay, let's give him a hand. That's going to take a lot of courage and a lot of prayer. So, could we get your name again? Preston. So, keep Preston in your prayers. Anybody else? What are you going to leave behind? Yes.
A negative attitude. I'm just a whatever. For me, it's an administrative person.
Great.
So I'm going to try and not say that or think that anymore.
Okay, so hang on. You don't get off the microphone yet. Can you stand up for a second, please? So can you say that one more time? I'm going to what?
What I'm going to leave behind?
Yes.
The negative attitude. I'm just an administrative person.
And what are you going to do instead?
I'm going to look for the job that God has for me.
Okay. Wait, I want to go a little bit further. So you said, I'm going to try to change my attitude. Okay. I would like you to say that sentence again without the word try.
I am going to change my attitude about my position.
Okay, and I'm going to change it to be?
I'm going to be proud of the skills that I have.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Did you want to? Somebody raised their hand over here. I thought. You did? Oh, maybe you didn't. Okay. Okay, well that's...
Somebody raised my hand.
Somebody raised her hand.
So what am I going to leave behind?
Oh, here it comes.
I'm going to let go of the disappointment, the hurt, the broken dreams. I've been taking care of other people off and on for 14 years. And my mother-in-law died after I took care of her for 3.5 years. And my husband left me. And I got nothing, not even thank you. But I love taking care of her, and I'm thankful the Lord allowed me that privilege. And so He's pushing me back into the marketplace while my mother has cancer. And we're trying to fight for her, and she's winning, but she fell down the stairs the other day, and we're not getting along very well because I moved in with her since I had to sell my house. And my daughter moved away to California, took 3 children, and, I have nothing to complain about. But by the grace of God, I'm going to seek His face every day. And I know the plans that He has for me. Plans to prosper me, not to harm me. Plans to give me hope and a future.
Yeah. Praise Jesus.
And to return to my first love.
Thank you. I know that took a lot of courage to share. There's a beautiful song on WAVA radio, and it says, "Make Me Broken." And it is a powerful, powerful song because it tells us that sometimes we need to be slammed to the pavement, like I was, in order to wake up and realize that we are living somebody else's dream. We're trying to satisfy somebody else. We're doing something to get approval from someone else, and it's not our God-given talent. We aren't honoring the gifts that God gave us to really be courageous and step out and step up and be bold and stand out and stand strong in what you know that you're gifted at. And every single one of you are gifted at something in this room. And if you're having difficulty figuring out what that is, hire a coach or work with a coach. Are there any other coaches in the room? Would you please stand? The other coaches in the room? I know that there's other coaches affiliated with this organization. I really encourage you. Coaches are gifted at not giving you advice, but giving you the space to explore and discover. And it's a very, very powerful conversation you can have. Yes.
So not all baggage is bad, because I'm here because of Kathy. I moved back into this area looking for a new church, and sitting in that big auditorium there, she saw me, I think 2 Sundays in a row, and came by and said hi. And one of the things that my family's always done to find a church is they actually always ask for the kids' opinion. My opinion was always based on if somebody came and personally greeted us.
Oh, wow.
And as a result of that, I've served 3 years as the social coordinators for the singles ministry here that has over 1,000 people. I relaunched the singles ministry at our Loudoun campus.
Wow.
I'm serving here for the Career Network Ministry every Tuesday. Yep. So I've been here all day since 9 o'clock this morning, because I was here for the summer camp that we do for the special needs community. And I wouldn't be here doing that without Kathy's support. And so
That's amazing.
I know she's been a blessing to me. And hopefully through that, she's been a blessing for a lot of other people that have walked through this door. So, you have that gift of being able to know who the Lord tells you to go talk to, and what impact that you have on that person's life, and on the life of the people that he serves while serving the Lord.
Amen. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I'd like to close by making some suggestions on how to start your thinking. And you can replace the word you with I can, I have, I will. Anything you put your mind to, and that doesn't mean that everybody is gifted at everything. We are gifted at just a few chosen talents. So figure out what they are, and then let the world know about them. With God as your partner, and working with people that believe in you, you can repack your bag, you can change your story, you can get on that new trip that you've wanted to do, because every single one of you in this room rule your own life. Thank you all very much.